Dopamine detox does not begin with deleting apps or quitting pleasures, it begins with stopping the biggest dopamine leak in a man's life. Semen retention directly attacks the core of dopamine dysregulation because constant sexual stimulation floods the brain with artificial reward signals. Over time, this numbs motivation, weakens focus, and makes real effort feel painful. When a man retains, the brain is forced to recalibrate. Dopamine sensitivity slowly returns, and what once felt boring, work, training, discipline, begins to feel rewarding again. Scientifically, excessive ejaculation combined with pornography overstimulates dopamine pathways far beyond natural levels. This leads to downregulated dopamine receptors, meaning the brain requires stronger stimuli to feel the same pleasure. Semen retention interrupts this cycle. By removing the strongest stimulus, the brain enters a recovery phase. During this phase, baseline dopamine rises, cravings reduce, and motivation stabilizes. This is why retained men often report renewed drive without needing external hype. In the first phase of dopamine detox through retention, discomfort appears. The mind becomes restless, urges spike, and boredom intensifies. This is not weakness, it is withdrawal. The brain is relearning how to function without constant reward. Most men quit here. The retained man stays. By sitting with discomfort instead of escaping it, he trains emotional endurance. This endurance is the foundation of self-mastery. As retention continues, the reward system begins to shift from consumption to creation. Instead of craving stimulation, the brain seeks progress. Small wins, finishing a workout, completing a task, learning a skill, release dopamine naturally. This is how discipline becomes addictive. Dopamine detox is successful not when pleasure disappears, but when pleasure is earned rather than consumed. Semen retention also restores impulse control by strengthening the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and long-term planning. When this area regains dominance over impulse-driven centers, a man stops reacting and starts choosing. He eats better, sleeps deeper, trains harder, and works longer. Dopamine detox becomes a lifestyle, not a temporary challenge. Emotionally, retention detoxifies mood swings. Dopamine spikes followed by crashes create irritability, anxiety, and mental fog. By stabilizing dopamine, retention creates emotional consistency. Calm becomes the default state. This calm allows deeper focus, better social interactions, and sharper judgment. A man who is emotionally stable is extremely dangerous, in a good way, because he cannot be controlled through stimulation. Retention also rewires the relationship with boredom. Instead of escaping boredom through stimulation, the retained man uses boredom as fuel. Boredom becomes a signal to build, train, plan, or reflect. This is where greatness grows, inside quiet moments most men avoid. Dopamine detox teaches a man to use silence as a weapon rather than fearing it. Over time, the detox deepens. Cravings weaken. Discipline strengthens. The brain begins to associate effort with pleasure and chaos with discomfort. This reversal is powerful. It turns the modern man, trained for consumption, into a man built for creation. Semen retention accelerates this shift because it removes the most potent shortcut to pleasure. A detoxed dopamine system also sharpens ambition. Goals feel real again. Vision expands. Long-term plans become exciting rather than overwhelming. This is because dopamine is no longer wasted on fantasy, it is invested in reality. Retention transforms imagination into execution. As dopamine detox deepens through semen retention, the mind begins to feel quieter, not empty, but ordered. Thoughts stop racing toward stimulation and start moving toward solutions. This mental quietness is often misunderstood as boredom, but it is actually clarity returning. With fewer compulsive thoughts, a man can finally hear his own priorities instead of society's noise. This is where intentional living begins. Retention also exposes hidden dependencies. When sexual stimulation is removed, other dopamine crutches surface: junk food, social media, mindless scrolling, overcaffeination. Awareness is part of detox. A retained man doesn't panic when these urges appear, he observes them. Observation weakens addiction. Each resisted impulse strengthens self-control circuitry in the brain. Over weeks of retention, effort starts to feel satisfying. The dopamine system relearns its original purpose: to reward progress, not pleasure. Training sessions feel deeper. Work sessions feel immersive. Learning feels engaging again. This shift marks true detox, when effort itself becomes the reward. Dopamine detox through retention also improves sleep quality. Constant stimulation keeps the brain in a hyper-aroused state, disrupting circadian rhythms. As dopamine stabilizes, melatonin production improves, sleep deepens, and recovery accelerates. Better sleep amplifies discipline, creating a powerful upward spiral. Social interactions also change. The retained, detoxed man no longer seeks validation through attention or approval. He listens more, reacts less, and speaks with intent. Conversations become meaningful rather than stimulating. This social calm enhances respect and reduces anxiety. Retention forces a man to confront discomfort directly. Without dopamine escapes, emotions surface: frustration, ambition, fear, hunger for purpose. Instead of numbing them, the man learns to channel them. Emotional energy becomes fuel rather than burden. This is emotional maturity forged through discipline. As detox continues, creativity resurfaces. Dopamine balance unlocks deep focus states where ideas connect naturally. The mind begins to build instead of consume. Many men experience surges of creative output during retention because mental bandwidth is no longer wasted on compulsive desire. Long-term retention rewires identity. A man no longer identifies as someone fighting urges, but as someone who chooses discipline naturally. When identity shifts, effort drops. Dopamine detox becomes permanent because the environment and habits align with the new self-image. Retention also restores hunger for challenge. Easy pleasures lose appeal. Difficult goals become attractive. This hunger is rare in modern society, and extremely valuable. Men with hunger rise fast because they are willing to endure what others avoid. Ultimately, dopamine detox through semen retention is a return to natural masculinity. It strips away artificial pleasure and reveals raw drive. When dopamine works for you instead of against you, discipline becomes joy, focus becomes freedom, and self-mastery becomes inevitable. With continued semen retention, the brain begins to trust effort again. Tasks that once felt overwhelming now feel approachable because dopamine is no longer hijacked by instant gratification. This trust between mind and effort is critical. When the brain believes effort will be rewarded, procrastination fades naturally. Retention also strengthens delayed gratification pathways. The man learns to wait without anxiety. Waiting no longer feels like loss, it feels like preparation. This patience transfers into every area of life: fitness, finances, relationships, and career. Dopamine detox teaches a man to value the long game. As dopamine stabilizes, anxiety decreases. Much of modern anxiety is overstimulation: too many inputs, too many cravings, too many micro-rewards. Retention reduces mental noise. Fewer cravings mean fewer internal conflicts. Calm becomes the baseline state. The detoxed man begins to experience deeper satisfaction from simple routines. Morning walks, cold showers, focused work sessions, and clean meals begin to feel grounding rather than boring. This appreciation of simplicity is a sign of neurological recovery. Retention also increases pain tolerance, not physical pain alone, but mental resistance. Rejection, criticism, and setbacks no longer trigger escape behavior. The man stays present, evaluates, and adapts. Dopamine detox replaces emotional fragility with resilience. Over time, self-respect grows quietly. Every resisted urge is a vote for discipline. These votes compound into confidence that does not depend on outcomes. This inner confidence further stabilizes dopamine because validation is no longer external. A detoxed dopamine system sharpens moral clarity. Right and wrong feel clearer because impulses no longer cloud judgment. Decisions align with long-term values instead of short-term pleasure. This alignment reduces internal friction and mental fatigue. Retention also changes how time is perceived. Hours feel fuller. Days feel longer. Life feels more vivid. This is because attention is no longer fragmented across constant stimulation. Presence returns, and presence is power. Eventually, the man stops craving detox itself. Discipline becomes normal. He no longer counts days, he lives aligned. Dopamine balance becomes self-sustaining because lifestyle and identity support it. In the end, semen retention is not just a dopamine detox, it is a reprogramming of masculinity. It restores natural reward systems, strengthens self-command, and transforms effort into fulfillment. When dopamine is mastered, the man is no longer controlled by the world, he commands himself.